Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Mac. I'm back. So, I want to have a discussion with the congregation real quick. Can I do that? Because everybody else, you're welcome to join in, but this specifically for the congregation, because sometimes you just have to talk to you people, the people who've invested their time into you. And this is just a conversation with the congregation in light of everything that's going on with the current trial and the things that are coming out about R. Kelly that are being revealed, and these are not rumors, these are actual truths with the receipts to go with it. How many of us are still playing his songs at the family gatherings, and how many of us are still jammed to it when we hear it come on? Well, you probably won't hear it in the car that much no more, but when you hear a song come on somewhere and it's an R. Kelly song, how many of us are still rocking to the beat? I want to know, man, because this is something that relates to a story that I did last week. And I was talking about how Satan is the prince of the airwaves. And that is one of his main ways of influencing us in communication is through the airwaves. And our music comes where? Through the airwaves, man. So this is directly linked to our spiritual life. And I look at it like this: Satan, his job originally when he was an angel was to send up the praises of the people to God. And so he was in music. That was his specialty. So he's also the prince of the airwaves, and our music comes through what? The airwaves, through the frequencies. So he's in control of that. And so when you have certain music, it has an intent behind it. It's not just carefree, just playing and having a good time. No, there's intent behind music. Music, it stimulates your chakra. In certain songs make you feel a certain way, and I know that I can relate certain times in my life to songs that I listened to during that time in my life, and I can bring those things up in my memory based on that song. Oh, well, that song came out in 95, so it was rocking that whole summer, so yeah, that's when that went down. I can directly relate those things based on the music that I was listening to when those events happened in my life. So music is a very, very powerful tool. And that's why I say, are we still listening to R. Kelly songs? Do we bypass everything that's going on and still push these frequencies out to our family at these family gatherings and stuff? Because these things affect you spiritually. They're very influential, and the spirit of the person behind the music is going to translate through the music. And the man called himself the Pied Piper of R&B. He does not play a flute. I've never seen R. Kelly on a stage anywhere at any concert or performance play a flute. So why would he call himself the Pied Piper of R&B? Do you know the story of the Pied Piper? The Pied Piper was a musician who went into a town and he played for the people and they did not pay. And he said, if you do not pay me my money, I'm paraphrasing, y'all. He said, if you do not pay me my money, I'm going to take your children in a trance under one of my tones, one of my frequencies going through the airways, and I will influence all of your children to follow me, and I will take your children forever. That's the story of the Pied Piper, paraphrased. So, is that a coincidence that R. Kelly has a problem with pedophilia, to say the least? Is that's intentional? And that spirit translates through all of that music. And before all of this came out, and before we knew what R. Kelly was into, all of us indulged in his music. A lot of our children were made to R. Kelly songs. You know, it fulfilled those lustful moments. It was the right mood, it was the right frequency for those intimate moments. But we didn't know what else was coming behind that as well. And so there was a transfer through that music to the people that is now sustaining and pushing a agenda of sexual perversion. Things are becoming way worse. And you look at situations every time you turn on the news and you see that a child has been violated just by it's becoming so common that it's like people are desensitized to it. Why? Because these sexual desires were the mood was set by this music, and we only thought of it as a grown-up thing, but we didn't know the man behind this music was into children, and that spirit also followed with the music that he made. And now we have such, and it's not just R. Kelly. I'm not just putting this all on him. There's so much of the music that we're exposed to that comes across these airwaves that just supplies sexual perversion. You listen to the songs all the time, and it's like I say, it's so commonplace that we're desensitized to it now. It was a point in time where you wouldn't hear a cuss word on the radio, but nowadays you hear it all the time. And so these spirits are coming in through these airways that Satan is the prince of, and they're influencing us. So I'm saying, be careful what your children are listening to. Um, hey, Amina, how you doing? Say Grand Rising Deacon Matt. Glad I'm finally catching alive. Yeah. It's this topic right here is so important because we don't realize what these music frequencies are doing to us. And like I was saying, the Prince of the Airwaves, this is one of his most subtle ways of influencing us without us really taking it to heart, because people don't really take it to heart when we say things like, be careful of the music that you let into your spirit. Be careful of the communications that you bring into your spirit. People don't understand that, and they don't take it to heart because you find so many people just say anything. But, what's in a man is what's going to come out of them. So they're speaking from the heart a lot of the time, and people will try to dress it up like they're joking or something. No, they're speaking from the heart. And so we have to be careful what we're allowing into us. And that's why I'm so on this R. Kelly thing. We have to shut that totally down. If you do not support pedophilia and things of that nature, you have to shut that down. And that's one way of saying no. We are not going to play this anymore because we realize the influence that it had on a whole other generation, and that stuff passes down through generations. And so that sexual perversion is a hard thing to climb up out of. And you see the state of where we are nowadays. That's why we have so much. What's the word? I don't even. What word am I thinking of? We have so much gray area in sex nowadays. It's a real blurred line in sex. It's like you can go either way, and it's so commonplace. So I just say that to say this: R. Kelly, as the things come out, he intentionally. When you go back and listen to the songs, and you hear something totally different now. And I did this on purpose just to get an idea of what I was coming up listening to, because I was like, man, I listened to any R. Kelly album that came out in the 90s. We was on it. That was the dude, but we didn't know. Well, no, I take that back. I'm lying, because when Aliyah came out and he was messing with Aliyah, we knew he was messing with Aliyah. We knew that. But we overlook a lot of stuff because of a person's talent or a gift, and that is where we are held accountable, because we do it all the time. Oh, he's so this and that, and we will put people above reproach just because they have a gift or a talent or an ability, and we don't want to stir the waters, so to speak. But that is just allowing a seed to grow into a full-blown whatever it's going to become. And so we have to start nipping things in the bud. And that goes for like stuff that we're listening to now. And I'm one of the main ones I'm talking about because I love music and I get caught in, like you said, we did overlook it. I can't lie. Yeah, I'm one of the main ones, sis, because I love music. I grew up music through the house. I started writing my own songs in the fifth grade. I love everything about music. And, to detach from certain hip hop is it's a hard thing to do. It's a spiritual thing, man, and it gives you certain feelings and emotions, and it's hard to detach from something that you've invested time and part of your life to. But you have to take a stand. I have to take a stand at some point and say, look, I can't even support that because I see what it's pushing. I see the intent behind it and the agenda. And I know that there's a lot of parents of hip hop artists out there who are strong in the church, and they've kind of compromised because their child is making a lot of money and their child is not in the streets anymore. They're doing music. And so they'll compromise that to say that, hey, well, at least he's not doing this. And that also is enabling as well. You said, I say to this day, I don't know anybody who can battle him in a versus. But man, we got to do better in our behavior. That's it. And to know better is to do better. And that's why I'm putting this out here so that we can start a conversation about this because it really has to be addressed. One of my favorite rappers is Killer Mike. Killer Mike, he, if you don't know, he came out with Outkast. Outkast brought him out back in the 90s. And he was on that street stuff at first, but he always had some social commentary. I was like, whoa, this guy is different. But he never got the push from the industry that I feel he should have because of his commentary. And so we fast forward to today, and Killer Mike is one of the most outspoken um, community advocates that I've seen in a long time, and he's really unapologetic in what he speaks, and he does a lot for Black people. And so Killer Mike definitely is on the radar as somebody in the Black community who who understands what the music is doing to the community, but at the same time he's still making music that pushes that agenda though. So how can I really take full grasp of what he's saying when he continues to push the same narrative? So it's this is where we this is where we have our this is where we have our compromises. And we're either going to say we're against it or we're for it. And a lot of us straddle the fence on that. We definitely straddle the fence on that. So I'm going to try to stop straddling the fence on that because I will give leeway to say, like, I'm supporting some up and coming artists. They do their music stuff, and I try to support musicians that are coming up because they have to start from somewhere. They start out in the streets, and that's all they can talk about is the streets. Okay, that's your starting spot, but don't stay there forever. And I always encourage any of these young guys that's coming up now in music, don't ever stay where you're at, man. You're always going to grow. You're always going to evolve. So you have to talk about that and not just be one dimensional. And so, as we hold these musicians more accountable for the type of music that they play, for the imagery in the music videos and things like that, because come on, all of this satanic stuff that's in the music, it's intentional, and it's not Well, the symbolism is exactly what it means, but you have to be studied to know what these symbols mean. And most people don't take the time to study. They say, oh, that was just cool. And they don't see it as anything. But if you study symbology, and you really get into the meaning behind a lot of these symbols that are being used in hip hop today, these are things that were being used in rock and roll, heavy metal, all of the satanic music that was playing just a few years ago. All of that was rock and roll's thing. You didn't see that stuff in hip hop, but now all of the goth and all of the Satan worship and all of that has come into hip hop. It's infiltrating every genre. It is, and it's done with an intent to push a certain agenda to a certain group of people. So now that we understand what is going on, what are we going to do about it? Because to know isn't always to do. We know a whole lot of things, but we don't do it. So I'm just putting it out there, man. I'm opening up the dialogue. We can talk about this. Amina, I appreciate you coming in, sister. I support it. I appreciate everybody for the support. And I'm just pushing the truth out here so we can open up and really discuss what's going on with us, because we keep sidetracking and keep going against what's really going on. We don't want to talk about the elephant that's in the room, but I'm going to say, hey, look at that elephant right there. I guess that's what I'm here for. So I appreciate you, Amina, for coming in. Everybody else who's going to listen to this, that's going to like, share, and subscribe, because I know you're going to do it. I love you. Appreciate everything. You know what I'm saying. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.